brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. And now it's sippin' time.
Oh, yes, it's sippin' time again. Hello and welcome to this Sips episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. As always, we are the best thing on at 2 a.m. This is a 1-hour show that's reasonably entertaining for, 26, 27 minutes out of that 60.
That's stretching it. 22 tops.
Yeah, we're currently banned in 4 countries, the state of Alabama.
Roll Tide.
And we're subject to restraining orders from several unnamed Hollywood celebrities.
Call me Scarlett. Call me.
Creepy. Very creepy. This is Made Man Bob. Joining me today are Made Man Brent.
It's a pleasure to be here. I like the new basement setup you have.
Yeah, it's nice down here at our basement in Florida. So.
It's nice.
Made Man Maury.
Always a pleasure, Bob.
And good old boy Harmeet.
I'm amazed that you guys keep having me back. Thanks again.
Yeah, so is Scarlett. Brent, Maury, and myself are with the Bourbon Mafia. The Bourbon Mafia is a nonprofit organization composed of high-end bourbon enthusiasts and industry professionals. With representation in 7 states, our members combine a love of bourbon with a passion for charitable work. The group uses their love of our native spirit to raise money for local and national charities through rare bottle auctions and other themed events. Our show is sponsored in part by The Bourbon Review, a quarterly magazine and online source for all things bourbon. You can find them on Facebook or at their website at www.gobourbon.com. And also by Fine Spirits in Cooper City, Florida, home of the Enigmatic Machine, serving great wines and whiskeys and other spirits by the glass. You can find them at www.finespirits.net.
You can also find us at facebook.com/finespirits.
There you go. Our sip segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, coffee, and today's show is on the Jefferson's wood experiment.
Well, we're moving on now to the top.
Come on, the Jeffersons.
Oh, like you gotta love the Jeffersons.
Gotta love it.
I mean, come on, man.
You guys are old.
Yeah, you're please.
I remember watching it too.
Good Lord, I could saw you in half. I couldn't count the rings. We'll cover some background on the distillery as well as on the individual products that we're going to be tasting. Jefferson's was founded in 1997 by Trey and Chet Zoller. Chet is a well-known bourbon historian with a pretty impressive collection of pre-prohibition bottles. I've seen some pictures and
He's got a wonderful book.
yeah, guy's got a house full of stuff from, like 1920 and before. It's a bourbon geek's paradise. Their family history in the bourbon business goes back supposedly 8 generations to it's always a past relative who was arrested. Everybody's always got that one guy who was arrested for the production and sales of spirituous liquors.
In 1799.
Yeah.
I'm certainly that wasn't the last person arrested in that family.
Yeah, probably not, They named their brand Jefferson's in honor of Thomas Jefferson. So, oh, come on. Really?
Did they play that march when Jefferson was president? How old is the march?
God, I have no idea. What are you kidding me?
Do we have a historian in the audience?
Hail to the chief. He's the one we all say hail to. I don't know. Out of respect for the man and his curiosity and his experimental spirits, why they named it Jefferson's. They began their business, like many other small producers, as a non-distiller producer, sourcing some of the best barrels from various sources, including the famed Stitzel-Weller Distillery. It was those barrels from Stitzel-Weller that served as the base for their early bottlings of their Presidential Select series, the 17, the 18. I mean, wonderful bottles. Recently, Jefferson's moved their home to the Kentucky Artisan Distillery in Crestwood, Kentucky. Trey has a history of experimentation in the bourbon business, or as the company puts it, pushing the boundaries of the definition of bourbon, upholding tradition, yet always discovering new possibilities.
Wow, that's
That's a
trade
mouthful.
speak.
You can tell a marketing guy came up with that one. One of the more famous experiments, if you're into bourbon, that most people have heard of is the Jefferson's Ocean series. The original Ocean consisted of 5 barrels of new make whiskey that was put on a research ship where it remained for 3.5 years. After spending that time being subjected to the heat of the ship and the constant motion of the seas, the casks were opened to reveal a nearly black dark bourbon that they supposedly described it as a rounded spirit with hints of brine like salted caramel. I never got any of the very first Ocean. Brent did. It lasted, 15 minutes?
Oh, it didn't last very long.
Yeah, well, in his house, nothing lasts very long. The bottles in that first release were snapped up by collectors and enthusiasts and guys who drink it like Brent. And as a result, they had some more larger releases. I think they're,
They were like 3-month.
Voyage 6 or whatever.
But those voyages don't compare to the first one. I wish they would do more of those like 3-year experiments. I mean,
Well,
those were-
with my
not
last
fiscally
name, I
practical.
don't go on boats because last time I went on a 3-hour tour, it didn't work out well. For the Jefferson's Groth cask finish, they took a 6-year-old bourbon and gave it an additional maturation in French oak casks that previously held Cabernet Sauvignon from the Groth Vineyards and Winery.
It's Cabernet Sauvignon. Take it from me, I'm a wine professional.
Well, you should know these things.
Sauvignon.
It's
America.
And you have it with your Philip
Yep.
Mignon when you go
My
for a
Philip
steak?
Mignon.
Yeah. From Napa Valley, California. The refilled casks were placed in metal shipping containers and allowed to age in the high heat of the containers for a time before being bottled, resulting in a bourbon with a distinctly fruity character. They also produced a rum cask finish, where a 4-year-old bourbon was finished in barrels that had previously been used to age dark rum for a period of 14 years.
That sounds cool. I never got that either.
No.
Did you taste it?
I haven't had it. I've seen it, but I just haven't picked it up. I mean, there's only unlike Brent, there's only so much bourbon I can consume, or else my liver starts to hurt. And
You don't have that hollow leg like Brent?
Yeah, well, my kids are still little. I kind of want to see him at least maybe graduate from school. For him, he's okay. So
Yeah.
I sent mine off already.
yeah, exactly. What else has he got to live for?
He's got nothing left to live for. He can just drink.
The inspiration behind the Jefferson's wood experiment collection came from Trey spending some time supposedly in a wine barrel cooperage in Missouri. Unlike whiskey barrels that are charred to varying levels, wine barrels are subjected to different treatment processes such as toasting and slow cooking, searing the wood to bring different flavors to the forefront. So they decided to do an experiment to see what effects these different processes would have on the bourbon. So they took a 4-year-old bourbon that had been aged in new charred white oak barrels and then finished it in 13 different environments and vessels. Some of the variations included new bourbon barrels, new wine barrels, new wine barrel heads on a new bourbon barrel, seared oak staves that were inserted into the barrels, or slow-cooked oak cubes that were inserted into the barrels. They analyzed the effects of these various barrel and wood combinations over a period of 32 months. At the end of that time, they decided to bottle up the results, and they put them in neat little 200 ml bottles in a 5-bottle box set, and sent them out to the public so we could buy them ourselves and try. I've seen the couple of different boxes that I've seen. They all seem to have different numbers in them. As Brent pointed out, neither one of us have ever seen one with number 1. Maybe that one didn't work well. I don't know.
Maybe they kept it.
Yeah, maybe they kept it.
They're drinking it all right now.
Yeah, well, good for them.
The other thing is with the 32 months, they don't say how long each one was kept. Some were kept in shorter time periods, some were longer. So up to 32 months for any of these.
Some
they all
things have to
start
be a
at 4
mystery.
years, though. So they're at least
right
4
after
years.
the 4 years, right after the 4-year time period.
But I picked up one of the box sets just out of curiosity because it sounds like an interesting experiment. I mean, you're starting out with a comparable base and going from there and doing different treatments, so you can kind of see what some of the different things are doing to it, and that's what brings us here today. So for now, we'll have Maury tell us about our SIPS ratings.
Thank you, Bob. We'll be tasting and discussing these whiskeys and rating them with our SIPS ratings, plus our signature sounds. 1 sip. Give me a glass of water to wash my mouth out.
Ganga Singh, water. Ganga Singh, drink water.
Bring water.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
commentary from Bombay.
Yeah.
My parents just flew back from Bombay yesterday, or 2 days ago.
That's nice. I'm happy for you.
I thought they closed that down. They get some nice furniture. Oh, I'm thinking of the wrong Bombay. Never mind. Okay, Maury.
2 sips. Nice. But what else do you have?
Well, isn't that nice?
3 sips. Interesting. What was that again?
Interesting.
4 sips. Let's keep this a secret to ourselves. Pour me another.
That's classified.
Finally, 5 sips. Oh my, I was unaware anything could be this good.
Oh, my goodness.
I finally heard that sound.
Really?
My wife didn't make that sound.
I was going to say you got thin walls in your new apartment.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
The damn neighbors.
maybe you should go knock on them and offer them, like, you know, here's a wrench and some better screws, and, you know, maybe a little Loctite. That might be something that would help. I'm just pointing that out.
It's just, I don't know what that is anymore.
Yeah. Well, good luck.
We have a toddler in the house.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, you're never going to have private time, at least for the next, but I don't know, guys. What do you think?
18 years?
18, 19, 20 years, something
Long
like that?
time. A long
Yeah,
time.
it's pretty much over for you. Just get used to it. Just
She turns 3 in December. Can I send her to camp anymore? You can send her to camp. Go.
I seriously doubt it.
Yeah.
I know your wife. That baby ain't leaving that house.
All right, fine. Well, those were the sips ratings. What are we going to drink?
Well, we'll be back in a minute, and we're going to talk about it.
Rolling clouds and crashing surf, iridescent dunes reflecting by the light of a rising, glowing moon. Seashore mesmerizing, night breeze hypnotizing. We've come across these back roads none too soon. Look to the left, to the right. Keep your eyes on the road, my darling. Wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows. My hand is yours forever, sweet love.
All right, we're back with our episode, and we're talking about the Jefferson's Wood Experiment series. Thank you, Maury, for going over our SIPS ratings.
Oh, my pleasure.
We're going to get right into it, and we're going to have Brent introduce our first product out of the box today.
Well, thanks, Bob. One of the things with this box is when you get it, you have with the bottles, you've got a little tasting card that comes with it, which is nice. So you can do your own tasting right from the box. You can do this yourself. The same thing that we're doing here, and it's got a little placard explains all their different bourbons that they have, and nice little saying they got. We didn't invent bourbon, but we are rewriting the book on what American spirit will be moving forward. So it's kind of nice. I think everybody will enjoy that. But
Good marketing experts.
Yeah.
They gave you a piece of paper you can write on?
Well, it's a cardboard
Innovative.
piece of paper.
I know. It's cardboard.
It's cardboard.
It's not just a piece of paper.
It's printed.
It's a tasting mat.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, I like those things. I'm a sucker for that stuff too.
I am too. It's nice. It's people can do exactly at home exactly what we're doing right here, which is nice. So, but the first product that we got here is the Jefferson's Wood Experiment. It's number 3. It's 46% alcohol. It's this expression was filled. They're finished in a new 60-gallon American oak barrel with low, deep impact toast profile. So the
no
color
charring at all. No, just toasting.
Just a toasting. And
I think that, like you said, he was at. I'm guessing he was at Independent Stave because he said
Cooperage
down in Missouri. They have a plant down there in Lebanon, so they do a lot of wine barrels. That's probably where he saw what they were doing and came up with the idea to do it. So
yeah, the toasting. Now the color on this, all of these, and they're all very. This was the medium color of the box. There's nothing that's really heavy. There's nothing that's really light. But this is
they're all very, very similar. I would agree.
Yeah. This is a medium golden honey color. With the nose on this, I get some cola, and I get a little bit of baked bread with it. Then once I taste it, I've got some corn. Get the caramel, the flavors, and I with all of these, I've got a little bit of flowers to it. I get some flowers, that lingers in this. And the finish, it's a short finish and it's very dry. So that's I like my finish. I like things to last a little bit longer, but this is very short. It's kind of an abrupt finish to it. Overall, it's an experiment. I'd like to see something a little bit different. I don't know that this one will go forward, but I'm gonna give this a sips rating of 3.
Interesting.
All right, Maury, what'd you think?
Well, I have to echo a lot of what Brent said. I think it doesn't attract a lot of attention. It doesn't really inspire me, but I would say it's a nice effort. It's pleasant. And I think depending on the price, it could be something that one could enjoy on a regular basis or even a periodic basis. I would agree with him. I thought compared to some of the others, it did have a nicer mouthfeel. It did have a little bit of viscosity and body to it. It was smooth. And I would agree the finish was rather short. And it was gone before you know it. I would give it a solid 2-sip rating.
All right.
Well, isn't that nice?
Harm, what you think?
I'm not sure what the heck these guys were tasting. Well, first, when Brent said the baked bread, I didn't get it at all. But I just re-poured it, and I guess if you don't wait and you just pour it and you just put your nose to that, I guess I see where the bread came from. It's like it's fresh baked bread. But when I poured mine earlier, when the first time I tasted it, I just let it breathe for a few minutes because we were just sitting here talking before the show. And after I let it breathe, that baked bread thing blew off. I got vanilla, caramel, and something that really struck me that you guys didn't mention was walnut. A lot of walnut on the nose there. And I find that on the finish as well. I don't think it's an unpleasant whiskey. I don't think it's... And I'm not... I mean, I see where Maury says it goes away quick, but it goes away abruptly. I don't think it goes away quick. I would give it a medium finish. Definitely not a short finish. Medium, but then it just suddenly dies. It doesn't... doesn't taper off.
Right. It's very,
it doesn't
very,
peter
right.
out. It just sort of ends.
Right. And I didn't find it unpleasant. And as for the color, I'm going with burnished copper, y'all. That's burnished copper, baby. Anyway, I thought it was a decent effort, and I gave it a 3 sips.
Somebody's been reading like the Whiskey Advocate lately, I guess. New.
I'm at home burnishing my copper.
New one came out. All right. Well, let me think here. I got a sweet and floral nose to it. Light, not anything really big up front. The palate, very sweet up front on the palate. The back palate, I got a lot of dryness. The mouthfeel, it's got a round, somewhat soft mouthfeel to it. On the finish, it does end. But it's the finish that is there. It's very tannin heavy. Interesting. Again, it's an experiment. You're seeing what you can do with the different types of barrels. I didn't think it was too bad. I mean, I gave it a 3.
Interesting.
All right. Well, next up we got Harm, and he's going to be introducing our next one.
So our second whiskey of the evening, or the early morning, or whenever you guys are listening to this.
It's daylight savings time, isn't it? Like 4 in the morning now. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not sure. Is it 1950 now?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The Cubs won the World Series. It's like
1908. Yeah. Go Cubs.
Go Cubs.
Wow. I had heartburn at the 10th inning. Anyway, second whiskey of the evening is the Jefferson's Wood Experiment number 4. So 3, then 4. You see the pattern here, right? Again, 46% ABV. The expression is finished in new standard whiskey barrels with a medium char, but then they put a tube of heavily charred American oak cubes in there. That's just weird. It's just
I think it's like putting
It's deeply weird.
Those fake ice cubes in your glass.
I don't know. I think it would make more sense to use toasted cubes or toasted staves than charred. I'm not sure the purpose of the heavily charred.
you're adding char.
staves.
You
It's
never
an
know.
experiment. It's an experiment.
Well, I mean, they use in wine country. There are vineyards out there that use tubes with oak cubes in them, to try and give more of an oak profile.
Yeah,
So-
so you used because it's cheaper to buy a
And
used
then
barrel.
You've got some people out there who've tried, putting additional staves in,
Right,
or
but-
charring different wood products and
Yeah.
putting it in.
The way to make mass-produced, good, decent, cheap red wine often is use wood chips.
yeah.
No, what I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with adding wood. It would make more sense to add either raw oak or toasted oak than charred oak. Charred oak is basically charcoal.
Right.
Yeah. Well, again, it's
But charred oak doesn't mean it's char all the way through.
Yeah.
You've got a layer of char, then you've got oak underneath.
and it's an
heavily
experiment.
charred
They're giving it a shot. I mean, we only have the ones we have here. They may have done that with a different one. We may even have one they did that with.
Regardless,
We'll get to it.
you guys are stepping all over my review here, baby.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, we want to add some interest.
No.
Oh, excuse us.
No
Yeah.
excuse. So
Go right ahead.
I thought this was a successful experiment, regardless of what Maury had to say about the cubes. The color is, again, a deep burnished copper. The nose, I thought was very pretty. There was a floral note to it. I got a lot of red fruit, vanilla, berries, burnt caramel. This was almost like berries on your creme brulee. The mouthfeel was a lot better. I think I enjoyed the mouthfeel of this whiskey the best of all of them. Really good mouthfeel. I can't read my writing. I thought it had a great taste. It was slightly drying, however, on the palate. The finish was good. It was long. No, not as long. Not really long. A medium, I'd say. But I really enjoyed the flavor, and I gave it 4 sips.
Hold on. I'm not there yet.
That's classified.
All right, Brent, what'd you think?
Okay, for the color on this one, when we put them all up there, this one definitely had the darkest of the color, and I think maybe because of that medium chars, those cubes, was a result of that. But I got plum and leather and caramel on the nose. That plum really came through to me on that. And when I tasted it, I tasted cherry cola and coconuts. And
I didn't get any coconut.
You didn't get any coconut? I got some cherry cola and coconuts and a little bit of clove.
I think that's your sunscreen.
No,
Yeah.
I got coconut.
Are you licking the girls on the beach again?
Yeah,
Subject to restraining order number 2. So
right. The with the finish, this one was a little bit longer. This one was probably had the longest finish of all of them that we tried, and but it was still on the very short side, and it was a bit ashy, and maybe that was because of that medium char.
you should try sunscreen then.
Yeah,
Just
Or
lotion.
moisturizer.
Lotion takes
but
the ashiness out.
Bag bomb.
I liked this experiment. I give it a 3.
Interesting.
Maury, what'd you think?
I'd echo a number of the things that Brent said. I do get a little hint of the char and the ash throughout the flavor profile. I think it's got a nice mouthfeel. It's got a nice nose, kind of very classic bourbon nose. And again, it does have a relatively short finish that ends relatively abruptly. I think it was very comparable to our first expression, but maybe having just a slight bit more complexity and perhaps even a little bit more balance. And for that, I give it a solid 3 sips.
Interesting.
I just retasted it. I'm not getting a short finish. It's lingering. Guys, retaste.
Well, honestly, I did note when Brent and I first opened the box up, we put them all in a line. I did notice there were 2 different colors between the 3 bottles. We had 2 that were light and 3 that were dark. And this is one of the ones that was darker. I mean, if you hold it up,
There's 5 bottles. Were you drinking before that?
2 and 3. Yeah, 2 and 3 is 5, right?
It's got a very nice color.
Yeah. It's got a little bit of a darker color. Obviously, that must be from the additional charred cubes in there. It's going to suck a little bit more of that out. On the nose, I got some vanilla. I got some pepper. I got a little dried fruit. I got a little caramel. On the palate, I picked up on the coconut as well. A little bit of citrus fruit, caramel. Very spicy. A little bit of nutmeg. A little bit of dried cherry. Had a drying sort of mouthfeel, not bitter, not tannic, but just definitely on the dry side. And the finish had a medium length finish, a decent oakiness to it. Liked it, pretty good. It was not bad. I give it a 3.
Interesting.
All right, next up we got Maury, who's doing our next whiskey.
All right, thank you, Bob. Next we have Wood Experiment number 6. This particular expression is finished in new standard whiskey barrels with a light medium char, infused with lightly toasted American oak staves. So the description to me is very reminiscent of what Maker's 46 is doing with the oak staves, so I had very high expectations. I thought the color is very comparable to the others, a medium coppery color. On the nose, it had a pleasant, very classic bourbon nose. However, on the palate, I didn't love the palate feel. I thought it had a lot of harshness and a lot of bitter elements. And that was my notation on the back end, is that it had a fair amount of bitterness on the finish. Although it was short, I was pleased that the finish was relatively short, because this was, of the 3 we've tasted so far, by far my least favorable expression. I think they've got a lot of good things going on with their experimentation. I just didn't think this was one of them. I'd leave this one for Harmeet any day, any time.
You're a horrible man.
And so, frankly, this could be a first for me, but I give it 1 sip.
All right. What better for Harmeet? Speaking
Thanks.
of, what did you think about it?
Well, I didn't hate it that much. Jeez.
Hey, it's got alcohol in it. How bad can it be? Good Lord.
It's brown. It's got alcohol.
Yeah.
Much like myself.
Like you.
Exactly.
It's not like he's making raisin wine in prison. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a long time ago, right?
I've already forgotten what Maury said about
we're not
this
supposed
whiskey,
to
so I don't know if I agree with him or not. When I let this breathe for a little bit, I got tropical fruit under all that caramel and vanilla, and it foreshadows another one we'll be having later, which was just pure fruit. But there's caramel and there's a lot of tropical fruit underneath, maybe a little bit of banana, and it starts out good on the palate, nice mouthfeel. In fact, let me just try it again. Quite good. And what Maury said about it finishing bitter, it's bitter almond, walnut, but I don't find it unpleasant because I think there's enough tropical fruit at the beginning to balance it out. I think putting water in it ruined it, though.
I agree.
Water brought out the bitterness, so keep it without the water, and I'm going to give it a 3. The finish is short again, but I give it a 3.
Interesting.
You're too generous.
I've just never seen anybody drink bourbon through a bong before, but okay. Welcome to college. What do you think, Brent?
Okay. Again, with the color of this one, it was a light amber color, and just like Maury, I thought this was, on the same page as the Maker's 46, like that. But what I got was a lot of flowery notes to it, as well as the caramel, a little bit of caramel, and when I tasted it, it was like tasting lavender soap. I got that taste to it, Besides, you also get the caramel and the vanilla a little bit, but the finish really short. Lots of bitterness. I agree there. I mean, this one to me was the most bitter of all of them that we had, and I have to give it a sips of 2.
Well, isn't that nice?
All right. I guess it's back to me. This is one of the 3 that were, a slightly darker color to me. On the nose, I got a little bit of oak and old leather. On the palate, vanilla, brown sugar, a little bit of maple, a little bit of spice, cinnamon, clove.
I don't even know if you're drinking the same whiskey, man.
Yeah, no, I'm picking it up. This one, the funny thing is, if you try this one against number 4 has a dryness, but it's back palate. This one, the dryness is on the tip of the tongue. It's the exact opposite of, where you're getting that dryness and that slightly bitter edge to it. Decent finish to it. Not my favorite so far, but I like Harm. I can't say that it's that's a fundamentally flawed experiment. Not bad. I'll give it a 3.
Interesting.
All right. Well, that brings us up to our next one, which is going to be the Jefferson's Wood Experiment number 10. Again, like all the rest of them, it's 43% ABV. This expression was finished in custom 60-gallon French and American oak hybrid barrels with a low, deep impact toast profile. So I'm thinking every other stave, one American, one limousine oak, back and forth. I got on the nose, I got some caramel, I got some floral notes, a little bit of clove, a little bit of nutmeg and spice to it. On the palate, oak was definitely in the front, pepper, spice, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg, a coating mouthfeel to it. I did not like this one with water. When I tried it, it definitely muted it. It took it down a notch by adding water to it. On the finish, smooth, with a decent spice note to it. I got a medium finish to it. A little bit of toasted walnut, a little bit of almond or walnut on the end, sort of that bitterness that you get from eating walnuts. But all in all, a pretty decent sip. I gave it a 3.
Interesting.
I think your dyslexia is acting up because that doesn't even resemble anything of what I tasted. So are you sure you put number 10 in your glass?
Yeah, I'm drinking it right now. So
I just reported. I'm going to retaste this. This is, I don't know. Huh. So I'm going to retaste this. Who wants to go next with this? That when we come back from our break, that's coming up here.
Well, after we come back, I'll let you know what I'm.
So I'm going to laugh at you too because this.
Oh, that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. I'm used to being laughed at. It's just you can't point and laugh at the same time.
It's rude.
Yeah, just don't point and laugh. That's the important thing. And we're out.
But baby, the whole elation riding down this lover's avenue. As slow as a willow blows, or as fast as the whirlwind grows, we glide beneath the stars in cobalt blue. Look to the left, to the right, keep your eyes on the road, my darling, wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows, my hand is yours forever, sweet love. Our eyes ahead on these back roads with a view.
All right, and we're back, and we're still laughing and pointing. So it's like I tell my wife, you can laugh, just don't point. All right, Brent, what'd you think?
Okay, this one again. We have the light. This is on the light. It's an amber honey color to it, and I got on the nose. I got a cereal. From when you're outside of a cereal plant, you get that cereal smell. I got a cream corn. I got a cola. Then when I tasted it, I got flowers and fruit. That's what came up to me. I just got, I got lavender. I got a little bit of rose. It seemed like, and I got some peaches and apples to it. It's been with a little bit of hint of cinnamon, and I enjoyed this one. It wasn't bad, but again, too short of a finish for me. I got a little bit of a spice from that cinnamon or clove to the finish there, and it was a little bit dry because of that.
I'm not going to laugh at you.
I give it a 3.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely picking up the apple now that you mention
Interesting.
All right, Harm, let's hear what you have to say.
Oh, jeez. Well, I got, rather than floral notes, I have more fruity to me. Very like a lot of ketones going on here. It's like, and I understand where you're going with peaches there. I almost got some melon and citrus notes as well. And there is some spice, but not very much. I mean, Bob was going on about the spice, and I didn't get it at all. And the cereal notes, I'll give you that. Thank you. Now that you mention it, I'll say I'll get that too. But it was super fruity, not as much floral, and I didn't get any rose petal. I mean, I I just had a great Pinot Noir the other day that was just filled with rose petal. It was freaking amazing. And I'm not getting anything like that here, but I'll give you the lavender. I'll give you the little bit of floral, but I'm getting more of those fruity notes. And on the palate, this one is very light. It was ethereal. Let me taste it again. Well, live, kids. Do it live. This is the lightest one on the palate. I thought there's still a little bit of heat to it. It's finishing a little bit tannic, but not too much. It was short. I get cinnamon on the finish, but I didn't get it on the nose or the palate, really, just on the finish. And it's kind of meh. So, does it finish bitter to you guys, too? I don't remember. Yeah, a little bit bitter. As it's finishing, it's finishing
dry.
bitter. But it's not super dry, just bitter. So, I give it a 2.
Well, isn't that nice?
Well, as much as I hate to agree with you, Harmeet,
Everyone hates to agree with me.
I know, it's
Especially
terrible.
as a wife. It's never happened.
On retasting it,
I actually have on my calendar 2 times when my wife agreed with me, so it has happened before.
that's awesome.
I wrote it down.
Yeah, she said, you're an idiot and you're a moron. That's 2. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
On retasting it, I did get some an improved mouthfeel with some nice viscosity. I get a little molasses and a little caramel. I do sense the apple that you guys have been talking about. But the thing that really put me off was the relatively short finish, and I just found it to be bitter. And adding water accentuated that.
Yeah, water did not help this one at all.
Water did not help us. So although I did like it better than our previous expression, which was number 6 and had more bitterness, I thought this one was a little bit better. So for that reason, I gave it a 2-sip rating.
Well, isn't that nice?
Yeah, overall, interesting. Let's see. Now, where are we at now? We're coming up on number 12. All right, Brent, you want to do that one?
Whiskey number 5 is experiment number 12.
Yeah, this is our next expression is the Jefferson's Wood Experiment number 12, 46% ABV, and this expression was finished in the original bourbon barrel with oak inserts that have been toasted over a long period of time.
Isn't this the one that's going to be more like the Maker's?
Well,
Maker's 46 is different.
that's a whole
Are those
different
charred?
thing that they did it and stuff.
Yes and
so
no. If you look at them, they're black, but they're not burned.
yeah.
My guess is that they're toasting them in high heat in a vacuum because they're jet black before they put the inserts in. But you run your hand on them and not get any soot off of them. So
right, because this when we line these up, this was the lightest sample that we had, so a very light honey color that I got on it. On the nose, I got a lot of fruit, a lot of peaches, cherry cola. It's then when I tasted it, it was another again peach.
Everything tasted like cola to you today. Were you drinking Coke before you got here?
Well, I think
he was doing Coke before he got here.
Maybe kids are all.
That's so 1980 of you.
Welcome to South Florida. I don't have a Don Johnson sound clip. Well.
Yeah, but I got peach almonds, I got caramel, vanilla. This was pleasant. This was probably one of the ones I enjoyed the most out of all of them.
So you liked it?
But again, it had a short finish, and I got a lot of tannins with it, and the wood and bitterness, and so that's on the palate I liked it, but on the finish I did not like it. But I'm still going to give it a 3.
Interesting.
Let's face it, it's bourbon, so.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
And another.
All right, Maury, what'd you think?
Well, again, I'm going to echo some of the things Brent said. This was probably my favorite expression of the day. It's got a very light color, almost honey in its color. It's got a very classic, pleasant nose. And on the palate, I think it had a lot of the same things that Brent said. I did get the almonds for sure. And it's a nice expression. It does have a short finish. There is definitely a little bitterness. The bitterness definitely is accentuated by the water. So I would definitely steer clear of water on this one. But I thought it was a nice effort, and for that I'll give it a 3-sip rating.
I should be ready, shouldn't I? Yeah.
Surprised you.
You've got a couple buttons there. That's the wrong one. Yeah, still. I love that.
I'm not Fred. This ain't the Stern Show.
You're drinking.
Yeah, well, I'm drinking.
We drink live. We drink live for you. We love our audience, so this is what we put ourselves through. We will drink live on the air.
Absolutely. All right.
Bob, you do this one because I want to go last on this one.
You should go last. Okay.
It's because I'm brown.
No, it's just because you're a goofball.
All
right, what are we on? Number 12?
Yeah.
Okay, looking back at my notes on this, the oak on it's pretty faint. Not as pronounced as a lot of the other ones. On the nose, I'm getting a little bit of fruit and a little bit of cherry. On the palate, I'm getting a nutty, light caramel, vanilla, a little bit of corn and cereal note up front, a little bit of fruit, apples, pears. The mouthfeel, again, it gets a little bit too dry on the back end of the palate for me at the end. On the finish, dry old leather. Not horrible, but
not great.
Not great, not bad. Again, it's I keep going back and going, they didn't start out with, I can't expect to open one of these up and go, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing I've ever had. It's taking a 4-year-old average, off the shelf. If this was in a bottle before they did anything to us, it'd be a $10 whiskey, and just trying to do stuff with it. So, all in all, serviceable. I give it a 3.
Interesting.
All right. You gentlemen are so generous tonight. I have no idea what's wrong with you. Someone has replaced you with body doubles.
So's your wife.
That's because they've been drinking too much.
My wife is very generous, and I thank God every day for her.
Yeah, she hasn't changed the keys yet.
Yeah. She deserves a medal. Yes, well, she puts up with you.
No, but I mean,
or better
this
glasses.
With this one here, I mean, to me, the palate did not match the finish at all. I was not, from what I enjoyed the palate, but I did not like the finish. So, that's where
maybe my palate was fatigued, but I came back and tasted it again, and I pretty much gained the same notes I got the first time. The color is fine. I'll give you your copper, your little amber honey thing. That's fine. That's not a problem. The nose, I don't get there's almost nothing here. It's just just alcohol, and I mean light peach and light cherry. There's so little fruit on this. I found it unpleasant. It's like, what's the deal here? What are you guys smelling? I find I didn't get anything there. And on the palate, it was uninteresting. It was sweet. It's got a nice weight to it. A lot of wood. It finishes super dry, like Bob was saying, and the finish is medium, and it was a little bit hot, but this was my least favorite. I give this a 1. So 3s from you guys? What the heck?
Bring water! Bring water!
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever given anything a 1 on the show before.
Have I?
Yeah,
Try that one again.
I gave my first one.
Yeah, it's
I mean, how many episodes have we done, Bob? You and me. Like 20-something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever given a 1 before.
I like the fact that they're trying different things. So that's the whole thing. We can't go down the same path all the time.
Again, it's not a knock on a particular brand. What it is, it's just a knock on that experiment. So
right. There's going to be some that work.
Yeah,
right. Well, that's what I was saying. The palate.
I mean,
the
I
palate
didn't think
finish.
it was horrible. He hated it, and that's the interesting
thing. Well, that's
thing.
the only one I hated. The other ones I thought were decent. I mean, Maury gave number 6 a 1. I gave it a 3.
Exactly,
yeah,
and
right,
that's the thing.
Right.
That's the interesting thing about the experiment is certain things seem to ring with certain people as opposed to other people. I mean, one thing looks good to you, and the other thing is horrible to the next guy.
It's just like people who like sherried scotch and people who don't like sherried scotch. I mean,
they're called heathens, but we don't talk about them, especially when we're doing a bourbon show.
Well, we had a very famous guy drinking scotch with us who didn't like that much sherried scotch too. So it's Alan.
Yeah, well, he's also an Isla freak, so he's looking for mud and used Band-Aids and mercurochrome on everything he drinks.
A little bit of iodine and phenol.
You can't go. You can't. I mean, come on, man. You can't go by him on everything. So what did you guys think of the experiment overall? Likes, dislikes, anything that stood out to you? Anything that you thought worked that you didn't think worked?
I'm not sure if they would have started out with a better quality, more age-worthy bourbon, that it might not have been a different experiment. I kind of felt that this overall was dominated by the wood, and that some of these were a little bit like chewing a 2x4, and I just didn't feel like there was a really great backbone bourbon at the heart of these.
Jefferson is brought to you by Home Depot.
I don't know though. If they put a an 8 or a 10 year in it, I don't know if the bourbon would be too finessed and it would just overtake it.
I don't think you want to put an 8 or a 10-year-old.
See, that's the thing. Especially on an experiment. I mean, you're giving it a shot and trying it out. I don't know if I'd want to waste a couple of barrels of better quality stuff on
Agree.
it.
But why start with a 4-year-old? Why not start with a 2-year-old?
Oh,
and then give it 4 more years?
Because that's hardly bourbon.
Oh, right.
So,
well, no, but it's
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather see him. I'd rather see him do it with this 4 year.
What about new make spirit with the different barrels? That's still bourbon. You're making it bourbon. You're using Virgin American Oak, right?
Right.
Start with Virgin American Oak barrels. That's all you have to do with make it bourbon. 1 year Virgin American Oaks, right? Then it can call bourbon.
Technically, about 10 seconds.
Right.
Is it?
It has to be 2 years to be straight.
Straight bourbon.
Straight.
Right.
Okay, so Virgin American Oak, and then you do your experimental staves or your cubes and all that stuff. Start with new make spirit and do there.
Well, then you'd have to let it sit for a good year or 2 or 3 or 4 before.
Well, they did already 32 months on top of their 4 years.
Well, we don't know.
Yeah, but they took something that already was
as a
serviceable
benchmark,
drink and then put it in for the next.
Was this purchased or their own distillate?
I'm sure it was purchased.
This is all purchased.
Yeah, because they just got in with Kentucky Others not that long ago. So
I'm not sure they have anything of their own that's out on the street yet.
On the street, I don't believe so. No,
it's all purchased. No. Okay.
Yes.
So, what do you got? Are there any?
I mean,
hints?
it's similar. Here's the thing.
What did they start with? Do you know who? Any clues?
I would imagine perhaps MGPLDI, since that's where everyone else buys from. Yeah. I have no knowledge. I did reach out to them a couple of times to try and get a little bit more detail, because what they have on their website, really, there's not a lot of information on this series. But I didn't hear back from them. So I don't know if I don't know if
so. It's not even Kentucky; it's Indiana whiskey.
Well, this goes back to something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is the lack of transparency in the American bourbon industry. If you compare to Scotch for a moment, there are a lot of independent distillers in Scotland, and they're all very, very clear as to where their barrels come from. I think on the American side, we are in this phase where we hide it, and nobody wants to say, "Oh, it came from Indiana," and I just wish we'd have a little more transparency.
We're going to make up a backstory about some.
There are some distillers that really that they say up front.
And in their defense, Jefferson's always been pretty. I mean, let's face it, the presidentials they absolutely let you know those came from Stitzel. I mean, you knew where that came from.
And those were freaking amazing, but you can't get them.
But other than Stitzel, nobody really is quick to claim where their spirit came from.
I mean, I look at it as an experiment. You're starting with a base and then working it from there. And it's similar to some of the Buffalo Trace experiments. They did very similar things on some of their experimental series bottles. They did one that was different frequencies of infrared light that they toasted the barrels with like an infrared light, at different wavelengths and stuff. I mean, God bless Harlan Wheatley. The guy is, he's a genius, but, charred French oak and different size barrels. The size barrels came out and that was a horrible, failure, but they've done some of the ones like that and they've actually worked out pretty well. So,
yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. I'd like to see him do it with with an 8 year and do the same one with, up to 32 months. Do the same exact thing. Just see what it is and see what it does.
8 years pushing the envelope. I mean, 8 years is already a mature bourbon. Why finish it?
It's an experiment. You're experimenting on a mature bourbon. Then right now you're experimenting on a 4-year-old bourbon.
Yeah, you're kind of working with a clean slate.
Right. So let a bourbon mature a little bit and then do the experiment on it and see what happens. Why not? It's an experiment.
But I think you could do the experimental finish in a much shorter period of time. 6 months, a year max.
Well, yeah, we don't know how long. It was up to 32 months, so, it could have been 6 months, it could have been 32 months.
Yeah.
You are, but what am I?
You're a nerd.
I know you are, but what am I?
You're an idiot.
I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I? Infinity.
No, I'm not. You are. No way.
Way.
Knock it off. Cut it out. Oh,
Go shut up.
Pee-wee.
Why don't you make me?
Why don't you make me?
Because I don't make monkeys. I just train them.
Oh, Pee-wee, listen.
Well, that's all the time we have today. We hope you enjoyed this this episode.
I want to argue some more.
And you can catch all of our episodes online as well on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, PRX, and Spreaker, our native media host. iTunes, Google Play, and our own Android app are the easiest ways to enjoy the show on your phone. Just search for Sips, Suds, Smokes on iTunes or in the Google Play Store. We love your feedback, and you can reach us online at info@sipsudssmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day at Sips, Suds, Smokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. Do us a favor and take the time to rate this episode. If you're listening to us online, it's a big help to us, and we can see your feedback as well. I want to thank our co-hosts for joining us today. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you, and I do really love what you've done with your basement.
It's nice, isn't it?
It is nice.
Thank you, Maury.
Thank you, Bob. It's really been a pleasure.
And thank you, Harmeet, anyway.
I you know what? I hate all you white people. No, not really. I'm going to go put some suntan lotion on my wife and lick it off. Get some coconut on me. Get some coconut so I can taste all that coconut Bob has been drinking. I mean,
Brent
creates
a miserable image in my head.
Yes.
All right.
And have some cherry cola.
All right.
Cherry cola and suntan lotion.
All right. For Sips, Suds, and Smokes, this is Made Mad Bob. We thank you for joining us, and remember that life is too short to drink cheap whiskey.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.